Number 8. Ryan Kesler. Ryan Kesler is known as an overall great hockey player, but he's also developed a reputation as being a pest, for playing cheap and dirty, but for also shadowing young players. He's a type of player similar to Marchand that you'd like on your team, but would hate to play against. So when Anaheim was paired to play Edmonton in the Western Conference Finals, naturally, Kesler found ways to get under McDavid's skin. He quickly found ways to hound, hack, and frustrate the young captain during the entire series, and his tactics worked. McDavid was unable to have the impact that he would have liked, and Edmonton was therefore eliminated. But there's the fact that Kesler was somehow able to get away with goalie interference in Game 5, and that didn't sit well with the entire Oilers fan base either. Number 7. Sidney Crosby. Arguably the best player in the game, when asked who he wouldn't want to play with, he answered, Sidney Crosby. Maybe it's not completely fair to say McDavid hates Sid the Kid because the two have never had any real heat since McDavid entered the NHL, but there's no doubt that the competition between the two superstars is off the charts. Crosby is still winning the internal debate when it comes to who's better, and this probably drives McDavid. McDavid won the scoring race and the Hart Trophy, and that probably doesn't sit too well with Crosby. Anyone who is as competitive as McDavid has to see that the only way to be the best in the world is to dismantle Crosby. Number 6. Dylan Larkin. The only reason Connor McDavid is not the fastest skater in the NHL right now is this guy. When McDavid initially won the competition back in the 2016-17 season at the NHL skill competition, when he was asked to try and beat Larkin's time just after he had finished a race, mere minutes before, and he wasn't given a head start like Larkin was. McDavid should have been the fastest skater in the league, but it was not documented that way. Larkin and McDavid need to have a one-on-one skate-off in order to settle this. Number 5. Patrick O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan used to be an NHL player as well, and ironically, there was a time where he also played for the Edmonton Oilers. And like McDavid, O'Sullivan's career was cut short due to poor performance. During a game in the 2016-17 NHL season, the team wasn't happy with their performance and moved an NHL-mandated day in order to practice. This wasn't McDavid's call to make, but he supported the decision. That didn't stop O'Sullivan for calling McDavid out and blaming him, saying he was blowing off the rules and was too young to be a captain, and wasn't fitting to wear the C. The Oilers rebounded and did extremely well, making O'Sullivan look foolish. McDavid took the criticism, but he certainly didn't appreciate it. Number 4. Brian Cianfrone. We all know that McDavid can lose his temper, but he doesn't let these frustrations take him off his game. Instead, he tends to take his frustration out on opponents by lighting up the scoreboard. Still, one player was an exception and ended up getting under McDavid's skin back in the OHL a few years back. That player was Brian Cianfrone, which led to McDavid fighting him. As a result, McDavid broke his hand and missed a good chunk of that season. It's one thing to get in a scrap, but it's another to miss tons of games because of it. McDavid was looked down on for making a poor decision, but Cianfrone was also at fault for getting the best of McDavid that game. Number 3. Ryan Getzlaf. Another player from the Ducks who isn't McDavid's favorite is definitely Getzlaf. The reason? Getzlaf single-handedly took it to the Oilers and led an unbelievable comeback in Game 5 of the series against the Oilers, helping his team score 3 goals in under 3 minutes. Getzlaf is also known for having a way with the referees, and therefore he is more likely to get away with penalties that aren't called. This happened repeatedly during the Ducks-Oilers series, which significantly reduced McDavid's ability to have an impact. Getzlaf made McDavid his #1 target the whole series and got away with lots of cheap play. You could tell McDavid was biting his tongue. Number 2. Azim Kadri. Okay, so basically, this is another situation that if this guy isn't on your team, you're going to hate him. It's just a given. But But when it comes to McDavid, there's a real reason Kadri's not receiving a Christmas card. This past season, when the Edmonton Oilers and the Toronto Maple Leafs squared off against each other, Kadri was hounding McDavid the entire game, playing cheap and dirty. Most of it went unnoticed, as the refs that game had seemed to have lost their whistles. To make matters even worse, the game went to overtime, and Kadri happened to be the guy who scored the winning goal after slipping by McDavid. This is something that McDavid won't forget, and I'm sure it will be in the back of his mind the next time these teams meet next season. Number 1. Brandon Manning. This should be no surprise, really. The Philadelphia Flyer holds a special place for McDavid on his wall of hate. In McDavid's rookie year, both of them were involved in an accident that was questionable. While skating hard for a loose puck, McDavid went into the boards after losing an edge. Manning's full weight went in right with him and resulted in McDavid missing a lot of the season due to his shoulder injury. The next season, when the two players met once again, Manning told McDavid on the ice that the injury was no accident, which set McDavid off. He spent the entire game trying to fight him. McDavid spoke to the media afterwards and called Manning's actions the most classless thing that he had ever witnessed in his entire hockey career. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, and in case you haven't noticed, I'm actually on Twitter now, so please click on the link in the description and give me a follow. Have a great day.